Hi.
Hi, Jane.
You can hear me, take it.
I can hear you.
Okay.
Hello.
Hi, Megan.
Ed Jones.
Hello. How you doing?
I'm in Fresno, large animal shelter.
Good
How
evening.
are you doing?
Pretty good.
Evening, everybody.
What happened?
Hey, Steve.
Hello, everybody.
Hey,
Good
Jay.
afternoon.
Looks like we are getting almost everybody here.
I think so.
Jane's not here.
I am.
Oh, there you are, but not in picture.
No, I tell you what, I had dental surgery and my face is swollen and bruised, so I'm
Oh, no.
going to be incognito.
Okay. Well, you folks at 6 o'clock, let's get started. Okay. In accordance with the governor's executive order 929-20 and the declared state of emergency, including social distancing directives as a result of the threat of COVID-19 virus, board members and BVCSD staff will be participating in this meeting remotely. There will not be a physical location for the meeting. Members of the public may participate in the meeting in the following ways, and they have the webinar logins. So I'm going to call this meeting to order. Attendance, please, Chrissy.
Okay, Director Barron,
Present.
Director Carlin,
Here.
Director Hahn,
Greg is here.
Vice President Quinn,
Here.
President Roberts.
Here. I'll accept the motion for approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Oh, noted. I'll
Second.
second. Take Jane.
Chrissy?
Director Barron,
Aye.
Director Carlin,
Aye.
Director Hahn,
Aye.
Vice President Quinn,
Aye.
President Roberts.
Aye. Thank you. Let's all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. Ready, begin. I pledge allegiance
Pledge
to the
allegiance
flag
to the flag
of the
of
United
the
States
United States of America,
and
to
to
the
the
republic,
republic for which it stands, one nation,
one nation, under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty and
liberty,
justice for all.
justice for all.
Thank you. Chrissy, public comments on non-agenda items, please.
Members of the public may address the board on matters not listed on this agenda. The board cannot take action on any item that is not on the agenda. The board or staff may briefly respond to statements made or questions posed, or may ask questions for clarification. These items may also be referred to staff or scheduled on a future agenda. There will be a separate opportunity for public comment for each item on the agenda. I have
Thank
no
you.
hand raised, and I did not receive any email comments.
Okay, Chrissy, disclosures by the Board of Directors.
Board members are asked to disclose any outside communications with individuals and organizations that have an action item on this agenda that pertains directly to them or their specific personal or private interests, and which communication is not included or disclosed in the agenda package, so that all interested persons have an equal opportunity to express and represent their interests.
Thank you. Item 7, action item, approve amendment to Granite Construction Gate Drainage Improvement Project, contract revising the scope of work to reflect a maintenance project involving hydrojetting an existing system and installing riprap at pipe ends in an amount not to exceed $152,000. Bill?
Mr. President, members of the board, we appreciate you being able to add this to your agenda so we might deal with it promptly. We have Ali Kair and Michael Ackerman from TransTech with us in the event we have any questions for them to answer. But as you know, the board last week at your meeting had amended their scope of work. And I think we had discussed that we had been working with Granite Construction to see if there were some changes possible that might not only improve the project, i.e. increase the capacity of it, but maybe do that at the same time as keeping it within our approved budget of $600,000. In the course of going through that with the engineers and looking at a number of different factors that go into trying to get the project completed literally before Thanksgiving, we came to the conclusion that it is probably a better option at this point to proceed with a maintenance project instead of a construction project. So as you may recall, the quote from Granite was not including any evenings or weekends. We had routing issues for traffic when the pipes would be going in, not major necessarily, but things to take into consideration. And the probably one of the sticklers was some of our easements for the design that we had. So all of that had us focus instead on stepping back. And here's one that for me, I think is perhaps the most significant, which is when we step back from the project, it currently has a 25-year storm capacity. There is a lesser capacity under the service road at the police department where there's 4 24-inch culverts. And again, we were going to replace 40-inch pipes with 60-inch pipes, and all of that would have gotten a 100-year storm so that we could protect against the storm event that occurred in 2015. When we went back to examine the storm of 2015, there were 2 of them, you may recall. There was one in July, and then there was one in October. It appears both of those events were 1,000-year events, not 100-year or 500-year, 1,000-year events. So it actually brings up another approach for us to talk about, which is you can't, I don't believe, economically design for that level of storm. Our 25-year seems to have maybe handled things. You folks have been here a lot longer. It handled many storms probably before. And even if we design to a 100-year level and you get a 1,000-year storm, I'm afraid you're still going to get 2 feet of mud over that road. If the system still wouldn't be able to pass that amount of debris and water and mud through the system. So it begs a question of, okay, whether we need to go to that level, because you still would have that. It's just such an extraordinary event that you really can't engineer for it, and probably shouldn't because of the cost prohibitiveness. So to me, that was really important. We've worked with Granite. They have effectively put forth a proposal for us to clean the culverts that are down there and to put in riprap. And I did send you a quick explanation of the error in our staff report, which talked about 7 tons at 6,000, when in fact it's 7 locations with half ton or quarter ton, 500-pound ish riprap, so that shouldn't get moved out of place, but certainly would help with erosion and sedimentation in the future. So what they put together was what we've included in your packet as a description of where the culverts would be cleaned, what the costs are for the daily work and the installation of the riprap. And I think all things considered, and potentially that the 100-year storm, if that were to occur with a 25-year system in place, again, I don't think, but I'm not the engineer, we can ask them, I don't think that's going to create the kind of ingress egress problem that you had 5 years ago. I suspect it could be problematic, but not to that level. And so the need to actually design to that level is maybe now questionable. And at this point, we're $450,000 less than what the board had authorized before for that project. And it gives us an opportunity to keep looking at what we need, keep looking at the gate area in general and the design, the layouts and the pipes, but to improve it for this winter before Thanksgiving and the rain season might come upon us. So the recommendation is to move forward with an amendment that would reflect the maintenance work not to exceed $152,000. We may, and I say we may, be able to do a little ourselves, but as I think the board may be aware, we're down a few staff people in the roads department currently, so we would try and see if we can also help make more happen. There's more culverts down there than just depicted here that we could work on. So with that, I'll take any questions you have or engage in that, please.
Okay, questions from the board. Jane?
Yeah, yes, I have a couple. The spoils are going to be disposed at the yard,
Yes, ma'am.
and we've got room, and where exactly?
I don't know exactly. I would rely on Larry Wiggins, our facilities supervisor, for that. But we went through all of those aspects of the exceptions that were in the bid, i.e., we would accept those, and he didn't have any problem with that. I don't know the exact location.
Okay, and another question is, do we need to make any changes to the Transtech contract?
I don't believe so, ma'am. We just amended that at your last meeting and increased our budget and our scope of work. So I think we're good with this project. Pretty much, it's much minimized from what we were expecting before.
Well, yes, I thank you, Transtech, for saving us this money, and I think it's a good plan. We're certainly not worse off than we were. Well, we're much better off than we were before. Let me say that. But nevertheless, there's less work for Transtech during the construction destruction phase, right?
I'll say yes on their behalf. Yes, it's not as an extensive a project as all the replacement of pipes and all the detours and so on.
Yeah, so I don't know. I guess if everybody's happy with the 60K for Transtech, then that's okay with me. I think that was basically all I had at this time. Okay, so I yield to the next person.
Thank you. Jay?
Yeah, I do have one question. When we had the floods a few years back, didn't they do all this hydro jetting and clean out all these culverts the last time? So how much trash could possibly be in those things today? Did somebody actually look in all of them?
Yeah, Jay, let me answer that. I spent probably an hour and a half yesterday morning up there with my flashlight, crawling around, and the 48-inch that crosses Buttercup is 100% plugged. The four 24-inch pipes that cross the access road into the police department is 98% plugged, all of them. Well, one, I can see some daylight, so it's probably 75% plugged. And then the pipe that goes under Bear Valley Road is relatively clean and clear. There's a big rock on the lower end that has to be pulled out. So for me, it's a matter of getting those pipes jetted out, remove the spoils, and maintain it from now on, and put in the proper riprap, and that's, the placement is important. And of course, Ali will make sure that is done correctly. And then I think we're going to be good to go. We're going to save over $400,000 to use in other areas. So I think it's a win-win for us.
Okay, I'm good. Thank you, Steve.
Okay, Greg?
Yeah, Granite's good with us. We have to get out of that $600,000 contract. Are they good with that, Bill?
Yes, basically what we included was a proposal, so they'd actually moved a little bit on their pricing on a large project that we had originally scoped, and then you'll see they have just, so they've actually gone through with us, and again, credit to Trans Tech and Holly and Michael and their crew for working. Yes, they're ready to go, and they
Okay.
get going soon, in 2 to 3 weeks, and they're done.
Right. And then if we spend this 150,000 and need to go to a 100-year storm or whichever we decide, is this 150,000 in the windstorm, or is this, can we use some of this going forward? Are we going to end up spending 750 if we go back to plan A, so to speak?
I'll let Ollie address the reuse of the quarter-ton rock. I think is probably the biggest issue.
Yeah, sure. Is Mike also online here, Ackerman?
Yeah,
I am, Ali.
All right, good. Bill, if you could scroll down to next page. If you look at this total number, 535 plus 32, it's approximately 555-ish. And also, if you look at item 5, grounded riprap, if you remember, their original 600,000 did not include grounded riprap, nor it included full channel riprap between the crossings. The only riprap was about north of Buttercup, and then a little bit at the entry and exit points at the crossings. So in reality, if you compare this to their 600,000, and if you look at the second estimate they had given us with the option to do grounded riprap, it's in reality more like $800,000 range. So their price has come down significantly. So I just want to make sure it's clearly understood. This grounded riprap, we added it later on as an option. So they did come down very significantly on that. On the other part, well, you have to clean the pipes. That's a must. If you end up replacing the pipes, yes, you're going to spend some money additional, but the riprap section of $42,000 doesn't have to be significantly modified. You can use a good chunk of it, hopefully, because those are about 15 by 15 areas. But again, as Bill indicated, we found some historical pictures and articles 5 years ago. It was a 1,000-year storm. No matter what you do there, you're not going to be able to mitigate 1,000-year storm. It's not just the pipe size. You can come up with the pipe size, but the width of the sheet flow will require a huge and wide riprap channel, and they have to funnel it into the entry points of the pipes. So the cost could be for 1,000, not just the pipe, but significantly wider channels. You can look at it in both ways. You can look at it as glass is half full. You may be able to get away with this cleaning because we looked at the numbers. It's not that far off from 25-year storm. I don't remember exact numbers, flow rates, but Mike can probably remember those. You're close. The primary problem right now you're having is one, the crossing or lack of thereof at Buttercup. Unfortunately, there is one crossing which is 48 inch on the west side, on the wrong side of the channel. You do need something on the east side. It needs to go somehow diagonally to kind of come close to the existing pipe exit points. And then the other one is obviously those four 24-inch pipes. In those areas, because of the lack of capacity, you're getting some direction flow going into away from the channel before it even enters the channel into police facility. And maybe Mike can bring actually that exhibit if you wish to see that, Mike, if you could, that map showing different flows. And at this crossing here, one of the problems you have is actually the existing cover is not much there. If you remember the pictures that we had shown, there is very little, few inches, I don't know how much exactly, but very little cover on top of the existing pipe right now. So that's a problem that will continue to happen if you put a larger pipe because not enough cover. And Bill had mentioned eventually maybe doing some improvements in the gate area and then widening the road might be a good idea to consider a global project where you may actually raise the crown of the street, if possible, of Bear Valley, create a little hump, which you can do easily so that you can create more cover over the pipe. And maybe instead of removing the existing pipe, you add another pipe next to it. So you have two pipes with additional capacity. Again, these are just suggestions at this point because we're not concentrating on really getting this cleaned up so that you have at least a clear capacity of the existing pipes. And hopefully you don't hit 1,000-year storm.
Right, so these three crossings here, which is our weakest link?
The service.
One missing here, this is, and then this one.
I don't see a pointer, just if you say.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, you're right, it's not my screen.
It's okay.
The one across Service Road, 424 inches.
Yeah.
And then one that doesn't exist at just bottom of driveway, just north of Buttercup Road, because all that drainage coming from the hills end up on the east side of the driveway, but your pipe is on the west side. So those are your weakest links, and so the flow doesn't get into the channel, by the way.
And not to hold you to a specific number, but you had started to mention we're close to a 25-year storm. Is that for all three of these channels, or is it just the Buttercup one? Are we close to a 25-year design? What we have
Mike, do you have the numbers? Yeah, I think so. Mike can share the numbers. Mike?
Just when we get it back to good as new.
Yes.
Thank you.
So the pipe under Buttercup does handle a 25-year storm. So this 48-inch pipe is at 5.5%, which does convey that. The problem is the stormwater is coming down the northeast side of this private drive. And we believe there's a 2-foot diameter CMP pipe somewhere under this private drive. I think it's a little north of where this yellow line is shown. But that needs to be cleaned out. But you can imagine a 2-foot diameter pipe isn't going to carry the same as a 48-incher, right? So the volume capacity gets exponentially better the bigger diameter you get. Just like a pizza, a large is much more than a medium.
If we don't get the flow coming off of the mountain, if we don't get that into the channel underneath Buttercup, will it find its way to the channel underneath the PD parking lot and then underneath Bear Valley Road, or is it going to go somewhere else?
Well, this photo is actually a very good example of what happens if you get a storm. You can see the sediment deposited across Buttercup, and it does actually go directly back to your channel.
Okay.
So, and that's the case for any of these roads. If you get a design storm that's larger than the culvert capacity, they will overflow the roads. And as a civil engineer, you should always have secondary surface flow options because sometimes you do get that 1,000-year storm.
Thanks very much. I'm finished, Steve. Next member.
Thanks, Greg. Terry?
Very complete. I have no questions. Thank you.
Okay, my comments, you guys, you know, I spent some time over there yesterday really analyzing and looking at it because I wanted to get a bird's eye view. And what I realized is the lack of maintenance. You know, these pipes are all plugged up and obviously they need to be jetted out and riprap needs to be added. I think with that, yeah, I was interested up on Buttercup because you know, there is, you know, that's a 48-inch pipe on the northwest end. That's a little retention basin up there. And so the water flows into there and then finally finds its way into the 48-inch pipe. And on each side of your Buttercup, there's a, it's out of galvanized steel. It's like a little chute on each side, you know, to channel the sheet flow from the road down into the culvert there. So that's another avenue for water. The pipe up here at the main flow line is completely buried. You know, I couldn't find that, but I think that if we get it all cleaned out and set in the riprap, you keep in mind it's been here for 50 some odd years, and we've had only a couple of problems in recent times. So I think, you know, I think if you clean it out and then maintain it, I think we're going to be good, except for the 1,000-year storm, and we've already had that. So we can save a whole lot of money to be putting someplace else and accomplish what we want to do, and that's to not flood this place out again. So I really like what we have here, and I would recommend that we approve that. So having said that, is there a motion? Is there any other comment? Is there any public on Christie?
There's one public, but he does not have a comment.
Okay, so there's a motion before you, board. Would someone like to make the motion?
Sure, I'll do it. I move the Board of Directors approve an amendment to the Granite Construction 8 Drainage Improvement Project contract, revising the scope of work to reflect a maintenance project involving hydrojetting the existing system and installing riprap at pipe ends in an amount not to exceed $152,000.
Is there a second?
Second.
We'll second it. Okay. Jay seconded. Just one more comment in terms of, you know, on the motion now. In terms of the schedule, this will be done in October?
I believe that's it. That's going to take them a couple of weeks to get out there, and I don't know, Ali, if you have any more details.
And there you go. Well, they said they'll be done within 2 to 3 weeks, immobilize, get all the subs ready, and another 2-3 weeks. So I would say end of October to mid-November, they should be done.
Okay. That's good for me. Okay, Christie, call for the vote, please.
Director Barron?
Aye.
Director Carlin?
Aye.
Director Hahn?
Aye.
Vice President Quinn?
Aye.
President Roberts?
Aye. Thank you, board. That's,
Thank you. Thanks, Ali and Michael.
yes, thank you for all the information. With this, we will adjourn this session. Please everybody log off, and then Board of Directors, please log back on your other meeting for our closed session. Okay?
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
thank you.
Thank you.